The war of the mind is truly the only battle anyone ever has to really worry about winning, because once you've won the battle in your mind, everything else follows. There are two stories out today now in the mainstream media, and nobody is seeing the connection between them. We've covered both of those stories here on this channel, and we're going to connect it with another video that was recently put up by the Patriot Nurse to glue all of this together. Major banking executives and world leaders have pretty much come into consensus that we have about a couple months left before things really get difficult. And this war of the mind isn't going to be a convenience anymore. It's going to be a necessity. Now, what two stories am I talking about? Of course, everyone is aware of the situation that happened in Uvalde and the massive cowardice that was on display from those who could have stopped it. What's the other story? Many people have taken issue with me calling out the governor for appearing with the demon Dave Rubin. Now, some might say, wait a minute, Florida Maquis. I get your point on both of these things, but how are they connected? They are directly connected by the same thing. Cowardice. How is the governor being a coward just by... It's not the governor. It's his lack of ability to see the cowardice. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Many people over the years, last 20, 25 years, have said, we need to arm up. We need to get to the range. We need to get trained. We need to be ready for what's coming. And I don't argue with that. But that's only one piece of the puzzle, isn't it? I'm sure all of these guys did fine at the range. I'm sure that if we were to go find the records, I'm sure they could shoot paper targets and do it quite well. So these guys were prepared. They have, you can see the belts. They have tools for any eventuality. They have sidearms. They have training. And they even had justification and uniforms and badges. But what happened? What happened? A lot of people are already typing, well, they're cowards. Well, not all cops are cowards. Not all cowards are cops. Anybody who would believe that, anybody who's typing that, is suffering from black or white thinking. Things are either all A or things are either all B, but they're never anywhere in between. You see, there's a false equivalence going on here that nobody is seeing. See, they weren't going in to save their kids, were they? They weren't going in to save their kids, were they? What about the mother that went in unarmed to get her two kids, who evaded these armed people, who went in to get her two kids unarmed? A lot of people might have said, well, she should have had her everyday carry. She should have had this little pouch or that little pouch. And you see, when it came down to it, it didn't matter, did it? She got her kids while they were restraining parents outside. What's the key? What's the glue here? We're already 3.5 minutes in. What's the glue? What was the disconnect in the mind? You see, there was a false equivalence that said, if we are armed and we have uniforms and we are prepared and we can do everything that we know to do when the time comes, all of our preparation and all of our training and all of our justification, it'll all kick in. And it'll carry us through. Not true. Absolutely not true. And it shows a difference. It shows a difference. What's that difference? Recently, I'm not sure if she knew she did it or not, the Patriot Nurse pointed this out. There is a fundamental difference between a woman who is carrying to protect herself and a man who is carrying to protect himself. Because women have something at risk that men don't. There are things worse than death. Especially when it comes down to women protecting their children. There are things worse than death. How men approach self-protection and how women approach self-protection is very different. I'm sure a lot of people are like, okay, great, fantastic. What does this have to do with the governor, Maki? Well, you see, there's a false equivalence here. You see, a mama protecting her babies cannot be equated with a man protecting himself. There's nothing like, and nature proves this, there is nothing more fierce in the wild than a mother protecting her young. Than a mother protecting her young. I don't care whether it's a raccoon. I don't care whether it's a squirrel. I don't care whether it's a bear, a dog. If it's a mother protecting their young, it doesn't matter about the training, doesn't matter whether they're armed, it doesn't matter what the odds are. They're going to run in and be the worst nightmare for anyone threatening their little ones. Now, what does this have to do with Dave Rubin? You see, Dave Rubin would have you believe that because he went and inseminated in a cup and then had that implanted in a surrogate, that he's going to be the same thing as a mommy or daddy protecting the child. This false equivalence that his being a daddy is the same as Ron DeSantis being a daddy, or Ron DeSantis' wife being a mother to those kids. See, this is not the same thing. I guarantee if that they wouldn't have charged in against an armed shooter, these two, if it was these two some point in the future, absolutely not. They would not have the same click that happens in a mother's mind protecting their kids. Absolutely not. This is what is so disappointing about the governor equating what God created, man, woman, nuclear family, with what they're doing. It is a mockery. It is an abomination. It is cowardice in the extreme. See, I see a guy like this, not afraid in the least. I don't care how many guns he has at home. I don't care what he's carrying. This guy can't even be bothered to say no to third and fourth helpings of whatever he's eating. Total coward. He wears the t-shirts. I'm sure it's all over his Facebook about how great he is at the range, how many guns he has, and how much he loves Trump, and all this other crap. Not afraid in the least. You know who I'd really be terrified of? In a grid down shit, it's the fan situation? These two. Jennifer Veterans for Truth has 3 kids. 3 kids. Patriot Nurse has shown clearly that she has the ability to control her mind and will protect herself. Wouldn't want to cross these two in a bad circumstance ever. This guy couldn't care less. Couldn't care less. The big advertisers. And make no mistake, it's coming. World war for bread underway, Italy. An eruption of coups and terrorism in Africa may ensue if the conflict in Ukraine does not end soon. If it happens here, what do you think mothers are going to do to feed their kids? You think they're going to debate when they have hungry babies at home? You think there's going to be any cowardice on display? Think again. See, this is the connection. This is the false equivalence. There is no equivalence between a mother protecting her kids and Dave Rubin and his make-believe daddy. See, this is why this guy wrote this from the AmericanConservative.com. No allies who buy babies. No allies who buy babies. You cannot be a Christian conservative. You cannot be a Christian conservative and equate in any way, shape, or form this to men getting married and then inseminating cups in a laboratory and then having those cups then implanted surgically in 2 random women and then handing over the results to these. This is an abomination. Nikki Fried has done nothing that even approaches how reprehensible this is to a Christian. Truly. And you can see it. Why? It's cowardice. Who would you want to? I mean, seriously, if you had to throw odds right now, on a biological mommy protecting her kids or a guy who inseminated a cub to get the feeling of being a daddy? Who would you really think would be the best protector? Who would you choose? We can look at nature. We can look at nature. You want to cross a mother bear and cubs? See, you might stumble upon a male bear and he's, fishing or something. You back away slowly. You stay away from him. 9 times out of 10, you'll probably do okay as long as you stay calm. You see a mother bear and cubs, it's likely going to be over for you because she's not going to ask questions. You go anywhere near a raccoon's kits, you're heading for the ER. See, women have a different calculation. They have a completely different calculation because they could be the commodity. Not what they have, not what they're, if it was a matter of just giving up the purse, if it was just the purse, okay, purses can be replaced, the contents can be replaced. But it's not that, is it, ladies? It's not that, is it? When it comes to you or your kids, that is the different calculation that women have that men don't really grasp sometimes about how much more personal it is for them. This is the key. This is the key difference. And you can see it. If this had been a group of mothers with their kids, it wouldn't have mattered whether they had time at the range, wouldn't have mattered whether they were armed, it didn't matter whether they had badges or guns or anything like that. They would have bum rushed that school without even thinking about it and taken that cat out to get the kids. I would have gone in there unarmed just to give the guy something else to shoot at. But these guys, you see, sometimes all this crap can be a crutch. All this crap can be a crutch. And when the time comes, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You still think psychological operations training isn't important? Do you still think $1 per month isn't important or isn't worth it? So you've got 90 days to figure it out. You can watch videos over here for 3 months. And if it's not for you, fully refundable. It's even less than that if you sign up for an entire year. We can take the gloves off and talk about things like this without me having to censor myself like I have for the last 13 minutes. Watch this video, Weapons for the World But Disarm Us, and listen closely to what's being said. And go back and watch Patriot Nurse talk about being armed, being trained, being ready, and see if you can read the subtext when a woman is living by herself and she doesn't have someone she can count on. See, there's a certain place in your mind you got to get, and it ain't easy. And I'll say it again. During a grid down, shit hits the fan situation, I would not want to be perceived as a threat to any woman protecting their little ones. I'll leave it there. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.